Back to the show. I know it's been a while since we've done the Woodshop Live. Haven't done a Woodshop Live in several weeks, mainly because I just didn't have anything to share with you, anything to tell you, anything interesting to talk about. So today we're back. It is the 20th of December, right before Christmas. Christmas is just a few days, 5 days from now. So hopefully you've got all your Christmas stuff done and you're ready to go. I've done some gifts, bought a bunch of gifts, made some gifts. So here we are, and ended up buying some more gifts for myself, which kind of brings us to where we are today. It is, if you're watching YouTube, you may have seen on a lot of people talking about tools that Flex Tools has been kicked out of Lowe's, and it's been kind of this rumor going on for the last like month or so, and people are like, they're going to start getting rid of Flex. I guess Flex hasn't performed well in Lowe's, especially since Lowe's has, their strong performers are DeWalt and Cobalt, and so they've been starting to, they decided to get rid of it, and that was the big news over the last few weeks, maybe the last 3 weeks. And it kind of slowly built up, and then suddenly it reached a crescendo this past week when suddenly Lowe's is like, we're getting rid of everything, and they're just putting it on fire sale on the websites and in their stores. So this all started out with just, this is a Flex thing. That why am I interested in Flex? Like, those of you who know me know that we're really heavily into Festool, and the kind of work that I do is mostly furniture making and smaller kind of stuff, chairs, maybe in some tables, things like that. So how does this kind of tool, the Flex world of tools, how does that work its way into this kind of woodworking, right? Like, I'm not a carpenter, I'm not in the field, I'm not building houses and stuff like that. So why would I even look at this? So Flex makes tools that are very similar to this old monstrosity. This is the DeWalt 364, and this is an old 1990s era 7¼ inch circular saw. This is my very first circular saw, and I bought this, back in the 90s, and it's been with me the whole time, and it's really a beast. This is 7¼ inch corded, so I think it's like 15 amps. It's an awesome saw. I mean, if you look at the reviews from the era, they just consider it to be an average saw, but I thought it was great. Like, I've used this in so many projects. I built this bench with this saw. I built this garage originally. I mean, the organization of the garage with this saw. So I mean, I've used it a lot over the years. I haven't used it a lot in modern times, but it's a solid performer, and it's corded, so it's good. Now, with this 7¼ inch saw that's made in the 1990s by DeWalt, let me make sure I got the spec here. 7¼ inches with a cutting depth of 2 inches and 17 sixteenths, which, for those of you who know metric, it's 62 millimeters at 90 degrees. So that's a fairly decent cut, right? That's a fairly decent cut. Like, you can use, in most construction work, you're not going to have much issues with this. You'll have to do a couple passes through through a 4x4, but 2x4s, plywood, it's cutting through really, really well. Now, fast forward a couple years after I bought this, DeWalt started to really get more into cordless tools in their 18-volt line. So I was like, oh, I better get me some 18-volt tools. And they had a package deal. I ended up buying my next circular saw, which is this 5 3/8 inch trim saw. And this is the DeWalt 936. And this is an 18-volt saw. You can see that there's an adapter for the 20-volt batteries, because back then, DeWalt was using 18-volt batteries that are very similar to the Ryobi batteries today. The Ryobi ones, how they have that stem. The old DeWalts were just like that. And when they made the change many years later, they still have these available today. You could buy these sled adapters so that you can put the new or the current model of like 20-volt batteries in them. So you just kind of put it in there and it runs well. So this is the DeWalt 936, 5 3/8 inch trim saw. Now, DeWalt many years ago, I bought this in 1998. So many years ago, DeWalt decided to get away from the 5 3/8 and went to 6½. But I've used these two together for the entirety of time that I've been doing woodworking and any kind of kind of woodworking or any kind of like craft trade type of work. This is what I've been using. And when I'm making furniture, I like to do, I'll rough cut some of the parts. So I've been working a lot with like 6/4 slabs, things like that, sometimes 8/4, mostly 6/4, and then of course 4/4, 5/4, and then 3/4 ply if we're getting to that, or any size ply. And for the most part, I don't use this because this I save for like if I really need something to like, and honestly, I haven't really had too much of a need for that. But for the most part, this 5 3/4, 5 3/8 saw, which has a cut depth of 1 5/8 of an inch, which is 41 millimeters, covers the majority of the cutting that I do. But I've been curious lately to see like, oh, I wonder what kind of, how does modern saws benefit today, right? Like, and we're talking like 1998 technology. This is almost 30 years old, 25 plus years old. And what do we have to, what do we have to offer today? So I decided not too long ago that I've been getting into this Skill brand. I like their Skill 12-volt power core stuff just because I like the small compact size. Plus, they're kind of like attractive looking tools. And I think for the home woodworker, they could be really, really compelling tools. And so I've been buying them over the last years, just for the last like 6, 7 months, buying them slowly. And again, you get them at Lowe's and they've been, discounting them. And I think they're also going to remove Skill from their retail shop, which is a shame because I do think the 12-volt Skill really packs a lot of nice features into products that are not too terribly expensive. So I got this one, and this one is the Skill CR541801. Why do they make it easier? I don't know why. This is a 5.5 inch circular saw, 140 millimeter blade, 5.5 inches, with a 1 5/8 cut depth of 41 millimeters. Here's the interesting thing: 5.5 and 5 3/8. But they have the same cut depth. Now, actually, that makes sense because it's a smaller. So maybe there's not. But this one, so like, I've been playing around with this a little bit, and Skill has put a lot of nice little features into this saw. They've got this battery, 12-volt battery. The interesting thing with this 12-volt battery, let me just grab this thing, is that, if you want to do, if you're interested in doing like tool storage and battery storage, if you want, let's say you want to have the DeWalt. I got a bunch of DeWalt batteries, but let's say I want to put them on the wall, on the shelf, or something like that. I need to either go buy these little battery holders, right, or print them out. These I printed out myself. So eventually I'll be able to mount my batteries in certain places with these little battery sleds. Now, the thing about Skill, when I first bought my first Skill, it came like this, and I was like, huh. They have a battery cover. That's cool. What am I going to do with this? I kind of tossed it aside. And then it wasn't until later that I realized that, wait a minute. Not only is this a battery cover, but it's also a battery sled with holes in it. So if I want to screw this into a shelf, it already comes with a battery holder. And if I want to hang it on the wall, there's even like a hook hole so I could put it on the wall. And I was like, what? Skill really has packed in some nice features. Plus their batteries have onboard USB-C, both charging so that you can charge like your phone, or you can recharge the battery with that same port. So they've given you a little bit of nice features on these, just on the battery. They've incorporated so much. I've been really, really impressed with it. And then this goes into the saw. And what the nice thing about the saw has is that, unlike this old DeWalt, which I'm not going to expect this DeWalt to have the same features as this Skill, because we're talking 25 years of difference. This one is lightweight, very compact. It has a work light, so if you want to use it, see there's a little work light here that comes on, and that it works fairly. It gives you illumination right at the front of the blade. That's really kind of what you need. And it has dust collection on it. There's a dust collection port that I can plug into as well to collect the dust. And in the testing that I've done, the cuts that I've been made with it, I have been very surprised at how well this collects dust. It's not going to be anything like, it's not going to be 100%. So it's really quite interesting in that respect, right? So it holds well. So it does well. Three Kinos is with us. He said, Flex is turds. Like say that kind of thing, but I gotta say, I thought today, part of what we're exploring today is, the Flex stuff, because I thought it was very interesting. And for my purposes, I think it might be well worth the investment into it. And luckily, because of things that are happening at Lowe's, if you got in at the right time, the investment is incredibly small, especially compared to other things. Now, one of the things, the problem with today's thing is that the Flex stuff I'm going to share with you today has, at least at my personal Lowe's, is gone. Like my Lowe's and the two Lowe's nearest to me have wiped out their entire inventory and replaced it all with DeWalt stuff. So it's really kind of strange. Like you still see the Flex signs, and then it's all DeWalt like accessories. So interesting times. But if you can go there to your local Lowe's and they still have something, you can get them at incredible deals. So let's look at what we picked up from the Lowe's. Thing was like last week is when they started to put out the word that we're going to get rid of stuff. And so it's like, okay, so they dropped all these tools to lower prices. And one of the tools that they dropped was this one. They're 24-volt inline circular saw. And I watched a bunch of, and why am I even interested in this? Mainly because at some point I would like to, this is a beast to operate. It's super heavy. It's very large. And I just want to use it to rough cut things like the 6/4, the 8/4 slabs that we work with. And so this works fairly well, but it's a corded thing. And I'd like something lighter. I'd like something a little bit easier to work with. And I would like something that has maybe attempts at dust collection, where these older tools have no kind of, we weren't even thinking of dust collection back in those days. So this was set to, so this MSRP is like $250, maybe $300, something like that. Three, somewhere up in that area. They were selling this last week with $99. They're like, we're just going to blow this out, $99. I was like, oh God, $99. Let me go get that. So I ran out to my local Lowe's, bought this, and then they also, but here's the thing, you get into a new tool system and you need to have batteries, right? Because what are you going to do? You can't buy this and not have batteries. Now, Flex does have a battery AC adapter, so you can plug it into wall power. And Lowe's doesn't have that. If you look at Acme Tools or a BIS, they all have them, but it's like $250, $225, something like that. So it costs twice as much as they. So it's like, let's go see it. But the Lowe's also had a deal on the batteries as well. So they had this, which is a 2.5-hour lithium battery with fast charger that I think at some point they were normally selling right around $100 or maybe $125 or whatever. They were blowing them out at $49. And I was like, what, $49? So this $150 for this setup, which is still a lot cheaper than just buying the tool only prior to all of this. And if you were to go to like BIS, Beaver Industrial Supply, or to Acme and all these other companies that are still selling Flex tools, you'll find them at much higher prices than what Lowe's has them at the moment, or had them at the moment. But let's have a look inside the Flex box and let's get it out and see what we got here. Now, you're going to probably thinking that, 2.5 amp hour battery is nothing. It's very small. And it's true, it is very small. However, like I said, my needs for what I'm doing is really to break down large slabs and components for furniture. So I don't necessarily need to be very precise with those cuts. More importantly, I'm not going to be pounding on them all day long, right? So I'm going to make cuts, and that might be it. And then I don't have to worry about it. So for me, 2.5 amp hour battery, I'm estimating this to be just right for what I'm doing. Now, this is the regular lithium battery. They do have a stacked lithium battery, which gives you more power. All these new stacked pack type of batteries, like the power stacks from DeWalt, they become smaller or the same size, but they allow you to pack in so much more power into it. And if you're the kind of person that's doing the workout in the field and you need to be cutting like thick timbers or just thick lumber or just a lot of lumber on a daily basis, and you won't have the ability to recharge, it's going to be worth your while to buy the big batteries, right? But again, I'm in a workshop environment, so I don't have that kind of need. And that's one thing that I think is important to consider when you're thinking about tools and whatever you're buying, whatever you need to buy, is to consider your need for your specific work, right? Like what I would use this for, like if I run out of battery, not a big deal. I'll just put it on the charger and maybe half an hour later it's ready to go. But if I'm working on a construction site trying to like frame a building, that's a problem. Plus you got to have a lot more, you'll have a lot more stuff. So let's see what's inside here. They've got a little ownership package and a little clamp or something. Oh, that's a clamp to cover. They have a rafter hook. You can take the rafter hook off, and there's this little cover so that it won't leave it exposed. They also give it a little flex sticker. All right, so when I make my flex sustainer, I have a sticker for the sustainer. Oh, we've got a blade in here, 6.5-inch framing blade, 6.5-inch, 24-tooth framing blade. And I've heard these are pretty decent. You know, I mean, your stock blades are not always the best, but I think these will be all right. 6.5-inch, so I'm going to put that here on the side. And then the tool comes out. I mean, with the blade guard fully retracted, it does take up, you know, it is quite compact, so that's good. Hopefully that means I can have a space for my sustainer later for it. Let's take it out. Let's see what we got. All right. There it is. They've got a little tag here. Flex 24-volt brushless. Oh, somebody's shooting off fireworks. All right, so you've got this. Here we are. This is our flex. Now, our flex inline, and what the inline is, it makes it. They have the foot is really narrow, right? Like, look how narrow this is, especially compared. Let's just say compared to the new skill. Much narrower, right? But let's go back to our old beast, the 364. Oh, gosh, you can see here that, man, so much more narrower. Now, part of the reason that it's narrow is that the motor and the handle sit on top of each other, right? And that's kind of the big thing with this. It just allows for a narrower footprint, smaller overall size, but from what I've seen online, it's still a lot of like power and strength for this saw. So that's kind of our thing here. Plus they've got this port, the dust port, which moves around. And this should fit a hose. For me, dust collection is really important. I really have a penchant for dust collection mainly because I'm in the shop and I want it to be. Now, this is the Festool D27 hose. It is a little bit too big for that. So let's look at our other hose. So whenever my D27 doesn't really fit onto tools, I go to this one. This is the Bauer, Harbor Freight, the Bauer auto detailing hose, and that does fit. So that's got a nice fit in there, so we can use that. That also fits on the skill, right? Festool should probably make some kind of adapter for that, or maybe print out an adapter. Okay, so this is our Flex inline. Let's put this to the side. Let's look at the other stuff we got from Flex. Now, like I said, if you go to Lowe's, Flex has got a bunch of, I mean, they've got a whole bunch of stuff they're trying to blow out. Here is a 31-piece torsion bit set with drill bits, you know, regular drill bits, some impact drivers, and then little tiny drivers here. I think this was like $10. So $10 now. It's a really great deal. Blades, this is a demolition blade, wood framing blade, 7¼ inch. One of these was $4, the other one was $6. So if they still have them, this might be the time to stock up on on accessories. So that's something to consider. Have our big one. So now, after I got that, I was like, okay, I got the inline saw. I'm cool. I'm golden, right? I'm golden. That's all I need. And this 6.5 saw, which is a 165 millimeter blade, has a cut depth of 2 inches and 9/16, which is 65 millimeters. So that's fairly good, right? That's, you know, 65 millimeters. You know, you're pushing, you know, 2.5 inch, 2.5, just over 2.5 inches. So that's really nice. So if you 6/4, you know, slabs, no problem at all. Then I saw that at Lowe's, this is the bigger saw. Last week when I bought this one, $99, $130. This is normally like $350. But I was like, you know, this is perfectly fine. This is all that I need. Then just this week, $99. I was like, $99? Holy smokes, $99, that's crazy. So I thought, okay, if I run down to Lowe's and they happen to have it, I will get it. And well, of course, I went down to the Lowe's and they had it. And here it is. So magnesium footplate and guards. Let me open this up here so we can see what's inside. Now this saw is substantially larger. Oh, is this open this way? How's it open? Okay, maybe it doesn't open that way. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay. Receipts. Again, another kit of stickers. Oh, there we go. Oh. Now, if you could go to your local Lowe's and they still have this, I think it's gonna be worth buying because oh, there we go. Now we got it open. All right, so here it is. The Flex, this is the Flex rear-handled 7¼ inch saw. And here's the blade. You can see the difference in the two. Now this is, oh yeah, this is substantially larger of a saw. Right, so let's take that. Oh yeah, look at that. That is, you can see that it's wider, beefier. It is longer. Every way around, it is a bigger saw. The dust collection port is over here, and it kind of like can shoot out only to the left, to the right, but it can shoot out in different ways. And I'm presuming that it's going to work with the Bauer hose. Not as snug a fit as this one, but I presume it'll work. All right, wow, this one. So this one you can see here is designed to have the larger battery. It'll fit the larger battery. Oh, and it ships with it unlocked. Now, I'm not going to go into all the features that, you know, like showing you how to adjust everything. There's a lot of videos online about both of these saws that go in depth on that. But there's, from what I've seen, it looks like it's fairly easy to do. Like, this is just kind of this little, that's That's nice. All right, so let me get this off here too. All right. Well, let's just have a listen. Now, I showed you that I bought this battery set, but I actually bought two of them, and I have been, or just the other battery, fast charger, which is fairly beefy. Like this is a huge charger. This is like bigger than the Festool charger. And the battery is also quite beefy. Like if I compare to this old 20 volt 3 amp hour, it's very similar in size. Right there. Oh yeah, they're very similar in size. So now when you're working with these, and also one thing that's nice about these two new saws as well as this one is that these are all brushless motors. So they're going to be more efficient with power usage than the older brushed motors, and which means that the battery is going to last longer, right? So we can put that in here. And the nice thing about the Flex, they've got like little lights here on the side of the battery rather than on the front or back. And then let's see how it sounds. So there's a break, spools up pretty fast. I guess that sounds good. That slides in this little cradle, which, because we've got the smallest of all the batteries, it is also not going to be so, it's not going to fill it up. Ooh. Ooh, that sounds nice. Actually, that sounds very similar to the style of battery, style of motor in this one. Just more oomph in this one than this one, right? So, all right, there is our, fairly easy to get out. Now this one is, what is it? This is the FX2141R saw, 7.25 inch, 180 millimeter blade with a 2 5/8 inch, 67 millimeter cut depth. Now here's the thing. 7.25 inch saw. This DeWalt 364, 7.25 inch saw. So these have the same blade diameters as each other. However, I guess more modern design, more modern whatever happens, this particular saw has a cut depth of 2 5/8 inches, where this one has 2 7/16. So there is 2/16 or 2 millimeter difference between the two. We're talking 62 millimeters. Is that right? Wait a minute. No, we're talking 5 millimeter difference. 62 millimeters and 67 millimeters. So 5 millimeter difference. 2/8? A 1/4 inch depth difference, I think, is how it works out. Same blade size, but the advances in modern tech design and technology just means that we can get greater depth of cut out of the new saw versus the old. And it is, let's put it with the battery. It's a bit lighter. I wanted to say it was substantially lighter, but maybe it's not substantially lighter, but it is definitely noticeably lighter between the two. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So let's see about cutting with these things. Yeah, we got some time. We'll do some test cutting. Let's put the tools in. On this saw, there is onboard storage somewhere. Oh, looks like there's onboard storage of something here. Oh yeah. Is that, oh yeah, okay. So the arbor is a nut. Like on this particular model, it's a hex key. This is a hex key, hex key. Oh, that one is also 7/4 is a nut. These are hex keys. So to change it, how do we do this? I think we have to lock the arbor in somehow. There should be an arbor lock. Oh, there it is. Down back here, there's an arbor lock switch. That's fairly easy to do so far. So the nut's going to come out. That's too far. Is that right? Whoops. Oh no, that would be too loose. Oh no, that's right. And that goes here. This goes on there. Fairly easy enough to install the blade. And what we're going to do is we're going to lock that down. Snug it up. Tool goes back here where it belongs. Then one more thing before we get ready is we've got to take the protection off of the blade. Okay, that's ready. That's good. Now we're going to take the other saw, put this blade on. Now on this one, there is a tool on this side of the saw back here. And then there's a nut. The arbor lock, where's the arbor lock on this one? Arbor lock is back here. Now this is a little bit different. So because everything's much more compact and in line, the arbor lock is right here. So you just kind of push that in. Do this a little bit faster, I think. Ah, come on. Every time I'm working here in the garage, it's always a little bit more difficult with the magnetic clasp on the microphone because it always wants to fly away. you have any questions about these tools or what we're doing here, or how these might apply in your world, let me know. We can see if we can explore that. Okay, that should be good. All right, excellent. We got our saw ready to go. Ooh, that hangs over a lot. All right, let's move some stuff out of the way. And we're going to get a piece of 4x4. We're going to cut into this to just do some cut tests and see how deep works cutting and any kind of thoughts we might have with it. Let me just secure this down. Oh, goodness. All the money they charge you for these Festool clamps, you'd think they'd work a lot better. Okay, good. You can see that, great. I'm going to plug this in. And so we're going to do a cut and have a look and see how it cuts. Let me just put some dust collection on. We're going to do a first cut over here. Ooh. And that was a little bit harder, a little bit more fighting than I expected it to do. But we made the full cut, and gosh, that's, how deep is this? I just 4x4. It's probably not. It's okay. It's just under 3 inches. Yeah, about 3-inch square. So, yeah, that almost went all the way through, which is cool. Okay, good. We got to see that full depth cut. A little bit difficult to push through, but still, you know, it didn't it bogged down just a little bit, partially because I'm pushing it, you know, sideways. We got a lot of dust. So let's now go to our 5 3/8. This is the DeWalt 936. Again, been with me a long time. Been a great little saw. Battery in. We're going to make a cut just next to that. Again, no dust collection on these because This is from the era prior to dust collection. That went fairly easily. I think part of the reason we had a little bit more trouble with the bigger saws because I was kind of going at an angle. When you look at the cut, it's actually slightly at an angle. All right, that wasn't too bad. We're going to compare that now with the Skill, which is a 5.5 inch blade, 12 volt. This is 12 volts. So, oh, and now we can actually use dust collection on this one. And let's also, I'm going to suck up a little bit of the detritus that we have, just so that it would give us a little bit of a better idea of how much dust collection is happening. These old school saws, you know, they do nicely, but man, they're just, you know, from that era before we were ever worried about this kind of thing. All right, so now we've got our Skill, 12 volt. Same cut. Here we go. Oh. You know what? It would help if I turned the dust collector on. Now the cut went well, I thought, but of course, without dust collection turned on, what good did that do us? All right, let's try this one more time. Here we go, one more time. Now, I don't know if you could see that as well. But we found that there is a lot of, there's still some dust that gets out from the tool. So it's not perfect. And because, you know, the blade is open, it's never going to be perfect. We're just trying to catch as much as we possibly can. Even when it comes to the Festool saws, it's never perfect either. So any kind of dust collection is always going to help, I think. Okay, so now let's move to the big ones. First cut with the inline saw. And this time we're also going to put the DC on it, if I can remember to turn it on. We'll put the DC on that side. Oh, and what I need to do is also take off the guard of the blade. There we go, better. Make sure you take off the battery before you do something like this. What's going on here? Are we dead in the water again? Okay, so now we got the DC in here. It's not terribly tight. turned on. Ooh. Well, that's... We still had a bit of dust, especially blowing out this way. There's really no way to fully contain the dust with an open end saw like this. So, but that went through this pretty much like butter. That was not a difficult cut by any means for the inline. And if you watch videos online, you'll see guys that are doing like long rips with it, just going crazy with it. This really, we're doing full depth cuts here on a 3-inch piece of wood. And this is just pine too, so it's not terribly difficult. But we're not really stressing it out. I mean, this thing's got plenty of power for it on a full depth cut. And this is going to be, in my situation here in the workshop, you're working with slabs, this is going to be a lot thicker than most of the slabs that I'm working with. Now, it will be hardwoods most of the time, so there's going to be that difference. All right, let's go with our rear handled. See what we can do with this one. I mean, I can't imagine. Another thing I want to mention is that when I was putting this one up here, you could see that the blade guard kind of surface because it's just a little bit tall. This one I think is not going to have so much because it's going to have more clearance. But the one that's like this one only has what, 2 and 9/16 cut depth. So this one's going to be a little bit deeper. This, I wonder, this may actually cut through the whole thing. Let's see. Yeah, see, as I'm holding it on here, the bottom of the guard touches the workbench. So I have to actually open it, place it, and then now we're going to start. Oh, yes, we want to put on the DC. Oh, that's not really tight at all, so I don't think that's going to stay. But let's try it. We are experiencing some kind of technical issue. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Is there enough power in the battery? Battery's fully charged. As I get close to cutting into it or starting, and the last time, starting to cut, it starts flashing and shuts down. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe it's some kind of depth sensor that says that, oh, we're going to cut through this material, or... Let's try again. That's very strange. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. But let's have a look at the manual. Maybe the manual can give us some information onto why it's shutting off. I'm wondering if there's some kind of proximity sensor, or maybe this one requires stacked lithium batteries and it won't work without them. Let's have a look and see. Okay, so there is something here that says this circular saw must be used only with the battery packs and chargers listed below. And it gives a listing of batteries that can be used. And this particular battery is known as the FX0111. Oh, it says here Flex FX0111, so that should not be an issue. Now this, of course, has a lot of other languages, so the rest of this, but it's not really showing me any kind of issues. 5-year limited warranty, okay, good. Trigger switch and lock off button, I wonder, turn the tool on, press and hold the lock off button with your thumb, release the trigger switch with your finger. So your saw should be running at full speed before starting the cut, turned off only after completing the cut. So maybe that could be the issue there. Part of it's just not getting to full speed before we start to do the cut. Let's try that again. Okay, we'll leave that off. It died again almost through the cut, and I did leave it setting up for a moment. Let's try this again, see if we can make this work. I'm going to try to keep the rotation speed up first. I'm not sure what's causing that. It's a bit irritating because I think we were following all of their recommended parameters, but let's see. There's part of me that would wonder if the depth of the cut is too thick for the battery, but I can't imagine that the case because it's cutting out before, in the earlier case, it's cutting out before we start the cut. All right, that time, no issue. Huh. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's very strange. I'm going to have to reach out to Flex this week and ask him, say, hey, come have a look at this video and tell me what we might be doing wrong. Especially because if I want to use this to do, cuts on the slabs, I'm going to need to cut through like walnut and cherry for a bit longer than just 3 inches, right? We're going to need to be cutting, 12, 13, 14, 25 inches or whatever. So we're going to have to look more into that. Now, something else that happened this week was that as stuff was going on sale, I was like, oh my gosh, what about the reciprocating saw? And this again, $250, $225, whatever it is, dropped down to $99. And then But then suddenly they were sold out because like one night I was looking online. I was like, okay, they had this. I ordered this. I ordered the battery. Maybe I should order this. I don't know. And then I did it. And then that was the last night Lowe's.com had it on their website. After that night, just like 2 days ago, gone, just completely gone. No flex at all on Lowe's.com. Then I went to the stores yesterday. Everything was wiped out, or the day before. And this one was at my local Lowe's on display. And I asked the clerk. I was like, "Hey, can I get that saw?" She was like, "Sure." It's like, "Can I get a discount?" So she gave me another 10% off. So $90 for this. It didn't come with the two blades that it normally comes with, but there's nothing else for that price. Now, here's the interesting thing about this saw is that, as I've mentioned before, I use a lot of Festool, and Festool has their RSC reciprocating saw, which is a beast. It's a monstrous beast. My friend Matt has one. Every time I hold it, it's like, man, it's so heavy. It's a battle tank. Now, I've had this DeWalt reciprocating saw from the same era as this saw, from the same battery platform. So again, 18 volt that's been converted to 20 volt. And that's worked well enough for me, right, over the years. But recently it's been, as I've been tearing down more pallets, the tool is 28 years old. It's gotta be like, and it's not lived a too hard of a life, but now it's living, I feel like it's getting long in the tooth. And I've been thinking I was gonna buy the RSC at some point, but I'm waiting for the DeWalt to die and give it up, and then it makes sense for me to buy another reciprocating saw. And then this came along, and I was like, oh man. Now here's the interesting thing about this saw and the Festool RSC. By many people's accounts, these two are almost the same exact saw. Evidently, Festool, when they started to get interested in making a reciprocating saw, one of the things about reciprocating saws is that reciprocating saws are really popular here in the United States. It's a very popular tool, a lot for demolition work, just, stuff that you're cutting when you don't have to care about precision and you're just trying to get it done. So very popular here, but not very popular elsewhere in the world. So Festool, being a German company, they could spend the time and the R&D and the money to develop their own, or go to another company that's already done all of that, another reputable, well-engineered company, and then collaborate on it. And my understanding is that the RSC Festool is based off of this exact reciprocating saw. And when you look at the two models, you'll see there are some similarities. Weight-wise, I think the RSC is heavier, but the weights are similar, the trigger assemblies are similar, the foot is very similar. Now the foot is different. The actual foot on the Festool is designed in a way so that they can put a dust collection thingamajig on it. But everything else, the motor, the collet, it's all the same from what I've been told. Now, what I'm going to do in the future is to do maybe a comparison video between this and the RSC to see really how much of a difference is it. Like, if we're talking like full price of this is $250, the RSC is like $350 or something like that. So you're getting almost the full Festool. I mean, that's the presumption. You could be getting almost the full Festool experience with the originator of the actual tool itself. So, but I don't have a blade to run with this right now, but let's just power it up and see what it sounds like. I mean, this thing, I'm so curious about this. I mean, like if I was to compare this to my DeWalt, this is definitely heavier. Like this is close to the RSC. Now that I'm holding it, it's definitely closer to the RSC. Like I'm feeling my guns in my left arm, right? Now they've got a trigger lock here. It also has this oscillating feature, right? So normally reciprocating saws go straight. This one has an oscillating feature like on a jigsaw where it will do this kind of oscillating motion to give you a little bit more aggressive of a cut. Some other things here, the adjustable, trigger, meaning that you can slow and fast, easy change chuck. What else is there? The anti-vibration features. On the Festool, they have a switch here or slider that kind of, I believe it changes how much vibration is allowed. This one I think is just full dampening. So in videos that I've seen from other creators that were compared to, let's say, the Milwaukee Sawzall, this one has so much less vibration than other saws. And I think it's going to definitely have less vibration than the DeWalt that I have. So let's just give it a little quick trigger pull, unlock the. So as you can see, we can go really, really slow and control it, or faster. Now you can see here, this is the collar, and somehow you turn it, and it will eject the blade. But let's see. So now that's just straight. If we turn it around, switch, we should get an oscillating effect. Can I even see that? Oh yeah, you can see just a little bit of that. Okay. So, that's pretty fast. Oh, okay. And there's also, of course, a light. You know, I hold this, and it kind of, it's so beefy and bulky. It kind of has that feel like I'm in Aliens, right? I'm one of the colonial Marines. We just got our asses kicked, man. But all right, so there it is, the Flex reciprocating saw. Just another tool here. These are all great deals. 99, 90, 99, 99. Like there's just, like I wasn't planning on getting all these saws last 2 weeks ago, but suddenly the deals were so good that I was like, well, we might as well get them, and it will totally come handy to use. Like these for cutting, like this one. This one will mainly be the one that I'll use for like cutting down slabs. This one if I really need more power. This one will come handy for tearing down pallets. Like I do a lot of pallet work, meaning that I'll make projects with pallet wood, and so this helps to just cut through them and make it easier. But yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of introduction to the Flex lineup that was at Lowe's that was on sale. So if by any chance, if you're looking for some kind of power tool and you're Lowe's, so just so happens to still have inventory, I think it'd be worthwhile for you to consider investing in these. I think there's a lot of really nice quality behind these Flex tools. They're not very popular, you know, they just didn't get in the popularity circles, but from what I've seen from guys that have used it, it seems like a very nice tool. And just looking at them today, and that we've taken them out of their boxes, they seem very solid, really nice grip, like comfortable. There's a nice tactile feel, like grippiness to the handles. The balance is fairly nice. Like this inline line has a nice balance. It's also kind of narrow. I'm looking forward to using this one a lot. So, yeah, if you have any questions, please drop in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this, consider subscribing. And also, if you enjoy what we have to do on this channel and you'd like to support the channel, consider buying coffee for yourself. If a lot of woodworkers like coffee, that's what I do for my day job. I sell coffee. So here at sprocoffee.com, there's a link down below. Come and give our coffee a try. And yeah. So thanks for tuning in on this Woodshop Live right before Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season and a very Merry Christmas. And yeah, back again probably in the new year when we have a little more topics to figure out and to discuss. But until then, see you next time.